Hi, I'm Barry Sahajian, and this is Bebop Progressions with Bass Lines. Previously, I've done a few videos on bebop, but I only used one chord at a time, lines on a major seventh, lines on a dominant seventh, lines on a minor. I never really put the progressions together because I was approaching this as teaching how to improvise by using the concept of bebop. I recently had a follower who asked if I would start teaching bebop. I decided, this is a big part of my background, playing bebop. I spent 10 years on a venue that I hosted with every week having players come in, different players. I really enjoyed that. But I still love all the other styles of bass. I don't want to leave those behind. I'm going to include more videos on bebop, but using the progressions. So where do you start? With bebop, you start with the 2-5-1 progression. I'd like to start out with a 2-5-1 progression in the key of C, which means we will be using a D minor, a G7, and a C major 7th. So the lines are going to be very simple and will progressively get more interesting as we go along. Let me explain what I did on that last example. Okay, it was 2-5-1, D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. The first part of the example, I just played root, second, and flat third or third, depending on which chord I was using, whether it be major or minor. So we start with the D minor, 1, 2, flat 3, to the G7, 1, 2, major third, and then to the C major 7, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What I did, the next example, was to extend the line a couple of more notes. We played from the D minor 7th chord, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, to the G 7th, 1, 2, 3, major third, 4, 5, and then to the C major 7th, which has a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me play it a little quicker so you can get the context of what I'm doing. Okay, we're getting closer to sounding like a jazz line. That really didn't. That was sort of an exercise to get you familiar with using the 2-5-1 progression, the position of it and the motion of it, and how it sounds. Let me show you what I did in that last example. I only used 3 notes. I used the root, the flat 3, back to the root, flat 7, root, and back to the flat 3. And this would be on our 2 minor 7th chord. There's no 5th in it, but that's okay. We're still outlining the chord. And so then we do the same configuration with the 7th chord, except on the 7th chord, we have a major third, so it would be root, major third, root, flat 7, root, to the third again. And to the 1 chord, which is a C major 7. Once again, we use the same configuration, except it's different notes because it is a C major 7, root, major third, root, major 7, root, major third. As short as that little line may seem, it's kind of a takeoff to get into playing more of that line. Later, when you build a little more vocabulary, it could go almost anywhere. Now, that's down the road, of course, but I was just illustrating that as simple as that line is, it's still important to learn little cliches like that, and then you can get creative just by using that. So what we're doing here is root, second, and third, and the 2 chord is a D minor 7th, so we have a D, E, F, or 1, 2, flat 3. The dominant 7th chord, same thing, except we're in G, G7. 1, 2, and root, second, and major 3rd, because it is a dominant 7th. Then we have the 1 major 7, which is a C major 7. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Shape is very important. We are bass players. We don't have 88 keys or the range of a horn, trumpet, whatever. So we have to think about where we're going to play this thing, because we may run out of notes or the shape might not work in a certain position. So what I did was I started from the 7th position. The thing about what I just did was it's actually just a scale starting from D or a Dorian scale. This is number 5. Now it starts to get a little jazzier because we are changing a couple of the ways we're going to approach this. This is the 2 minor 7, the key of C, which is a D minor 7. So first off, we're going to use an arpeggio. And then we're going to add some chromaticism, something we haven't used yet. Up until now, I just used a combination of 1 scale tone and 1 or 2 chord tones, or the complete arpeggio. So we have 1, flat 3, 5, flat 3, flat 7, 5, flat 3. From there, we add a chromatic approach going in between the F to the G, because the G is the next chord we're going to play, the 5 chord. So it would go, and that will be the jazzy sound. You can look at that also as a double chromatic approach from F to G, but it's better off to think of it as an arpeggio with a chromatic approach in between to the next chord. Now we're on the 1 chord, C major 7th, and I played exclusively the arpeggio was all I used, a C major 7th arpeggio. I added a little twist to it. I'll show you what I mean. So it goes like this. 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1, major 7. We play this twice, so I put a chromatic approach on the second measure of the 1 chord, leading back into the 2 chord. Now this gets a little more involved, but it's kind of a natural thing that I would play, most bebop players would play, you know, going from 1 chord to the next, just to add a little taste of dissonance to make it sound jazz. So the first measure, as I said, second measure. See what I did there? This last example, number 6, is much the same as number 5, arpeggio, and then add chromaticism to it. And that's going to give us our jazzy sound. And it will be a 2-chord, the key of C, which is D minor 7, and we have a D, F, A, C, or 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and then I go to the octave and put that chromatic note in there to give us that sound we're looking for. So far we have, that's our minor 7, and we go to the G now and do the same thing. If you like this video, please subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of the videos yet to come. Like and comment. Visit my Patreon page to download all the study materials I put in this. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you again, and keep playing.